Trekland HQ, and we are live. Well, that was the week that well, that was the Trek week that Strike Week was. Yeah. Episode 309 of Trekland Tuesdays Live with me, Dr. Trek, Larry Nemechek, coming at you from the heart of Trekland. And boy, has it been busy. Right here from Trekland, from Portal 47 via Trekland Treks for some sanity, clarity, and the big picture in all things Star Trek. Once again on another Tuesday. Hey, everybody, it's so good to see you back with us yet again on another Tuesday. And we're supposed to be in the fallow times in between current fresh Trek. We've got another, 3 weeks to go until Strange New World Season 2 premieres. Strike? What strike? Oh, I'll tell you what strike. Meanwhile, if you are new to Trekland Tuesdays Live, welcome, welcome. Glad you found yourself here. Maybe you found yourself here from some of the chatter of some of the crazy stuff that's been going on this last week. Busy week. And if you are new to our channel here today, thank you for coming in, and make sure and check out, have your chat window open, because the TTLers, the Tuesday Livers, they are a good bunch, and you want to introduce yourself and say where you're from, because we've got folks from all over the globe. That's one thing about doing this in the afternoon. I know not everybody can join us live, and a lot of people are going to see this later on YouTube, especially. So make sure and sound off. Maybe sometime if you're watching us later, you can join us live here too. Whether you're live or later, make sure to drop a comment in. But of course, we'll probably have conversations. Now, I'll get to the chat a little later, and especially looking for actual questions you want to talk about. What I say today, what our little soapbox is today, and boy, it's a doozy. This is going to be, this used to be the kind of thing when you were a kid would send you screaming, running from the room when Uncle Fred and Aunt Martha would drag out their home movies, from the summer and make you sit there and watch Grandma fall off the Grand Canyon 5 times. No. I'm going to review the week here a little bit, especially one part of it you may have been aware of a little bit. It's been an insane week, an incredible week. And before I go any further, I just want to say thanks everybody for joining us. And I do want to no, I'm not. We're just going to plunge into this. Things are happening all the time in Trekland. Rarely have I personally had so many things stack up that was kind of incredible. I'm just going to plunge in here. Got to see a great, our guest today on the Trek Files is David C. Fine, the producer of the restoration project for the motion picture, which made a huge leap forward 20 years ago. I can't believe it. In 2001, a motion picture odyssey, working with Robert Wise and the new team that, the motion picture, the thing you saw these years and made fun of, maybe loved it, but still, it's not the same movie anymore. It was a huge step forward 20 years ago. It's even more so now. It's not just this 4K, oh, we've sharpened it. No. There's all from the ambient noise to the dialogue replacement to the color grading, where it is now not just a gray blue blob that puts you to sleep. The editing is the editing it should have always been, not rushed in wet prints to theaters. You've heard us talk about this in the last week. Well, that's kicked off the week, amazingly, Tuesday night. The day it's been a week since we had our big 6th anniversary show and had a live guest, Strange New Worlds producer Bill Wolkoff, number 2 in the writing room, with us live from the picket lines from the Writers Guild strike a week ago. Do you remember that? If you didn't see last week's show, go back and watch it. The edited one is up, so you don't have to watch the whole 2-hour version, but just see the meat of it. Was huge. Friday was the Writers Guild strike, Star Trek theme day, which was big. Everybody remembers, or a lot of folks remember the 2007 day when those kind of things were new, kind of driven by social media. Saturday morning, I had the distinct pleasure to, let me see if I can pull this off now. Yeah. Had the distinct pleasure here of interviewing the great Walter Koenig for the Nichelle Nichols Foundation. Every month they have a panel or a speaker highlight, spotlight. Um, just some aspect of Nichelle's legacy. I'm very proud to be on the advisory board for the foundation. I finally got to do something this week. We had a great hour. Um, we survived the some of the tech issues, but still, it was an incredible time. I just did it in the frame with Walter, and even so, after all these years, it was great to see folks in the chat have hear some new stories. And Walter shared a couple of new things that you can only tell with the passage of time. So that was an amazing morning. That was Saturday morning live. If you were with us then, great. But this is all at the Nichelle Nichols Foundation YouTube channel. I urge you to go back and check that out, and check out several other ones. They've had, panels with a lot of the women and the Black actresses and people involved with Star Trek, but all just in the short time since the start of the year. There's a monthly Hailing Frequencies open panel, and this was telling stories, but also reflect on Nichelle's legacy from Walter's perspective as one of her truly best friends that we found out about. But the other thing about this week that I hope you can go back and check out was what happened only yesterday. And I'm just going to show you the one panel from my little end of it, but it was an all-day event, the Cisco Day. This is something that Sirach and our friend Ryan over at Seventh Rule and Virtual TrekCon came up with, because with all the love fest here recently for the Picard show and TNG, Janeway and the Janeway statue and Janeway on Prodigy and all of that. And, it was great to see Kira and Quark on Lower Decks and all that, but just feeling at the awesome contributions of Avery Brooks and Captain Sisko as a character, and DS9 as a show and a series that I think we've all realized has come far from the days when people complained about that crazy show. I missed one episode and I'm lost track. Right. All the what 20 years of perspective and hindsight has brought to DS9. I mean, as far as all the legacy shows, really. It's as much as they were revered in their time, some of them, DS9 and Enterprise and Voyager, are seen in a newer light today with a lot more respect. So anyway, this was an awesome day. All those panels are up. Oh my God, the lineup of people. I was very honored to have the 4:00 Pacific, 7 Eastern window. I wanted to do a backstage, and I wanted to get people that had a lot of longevity with Deep Space Nine. They weren't there just a year or two. They could tell some Avery stories, and boy, did they. And I don't mean yuck bloopers. I mean some really insightful, well, I don't want to spoil it. It's just an hour. You should watch a panel. It was really, really well done. We had Dennis Madelone, the stunt coordinator, who's always good for stories. And people a lot of people have seen, but people that, as we do in Portal 47, bring these stories that folks that don't get time on a convention stage or get interviewed. Robin Morcelli was a 7-year stand-in primarily for Nana's Kira, but also utility. As she was explaining the stand-ins and Atmo on DS9, they wanted a regular family that the actors and the crew, everybody knew each other and could trust, and not just people coming in as a day job. And they had work they did even when they weren't standing in or being an extra or even an alien head extra. And that's fascinating. And then Lou Race, who was assistant director for the last 3 seasons of DS9 and alternated. The first assistant director is alternated because it's a demanding, exhausting job, and you have to prep a show and then run it on stage. And he had some incredible stories about Avery, but they all just the backstage vibe, which is what gets missing. As much as we love the actors, a lot of that goes missing. And the folks that had to crunch the details, and as Lou said, can't just solder in and take off their sunglasses for a day, and then we'll see you next week. But knowing that all the value and the worth of everyone. But it's just a level of detail that, well, that's what we get into with Portal 47. But that here's a public way for people to hear some of these stories, and the crowd loved it. So I urge you to go back and catch us. This is actually at my YouTube, but it'll eventually be connected in with all the Cisco Day, the Cisco Day. Check it out, all the native hours that were done at their YouTube channel and at the Seventh Rules YouTube channel. Anyway, that was an incredible time. That's what's going on. And then even not to have been there, but this last week, some of the cons that are happening. So I'm so thrilled that Long Island TrekCon went off so well. No, it's not San Diego Comic-Con, and no, it's not Vegas, but they had a great turnout. Haven't talked yet. I mean, I'm really hoping to be able to go next year. I just got in a little bit under the gun. They already had 47 great guests this year. Many behind the scenes folks, yes, but it's a fan group behind it. And as long as there's enough business savvy in the group to make sure it's fun and games, but also survives to entertain and convene another day, another year. So hoping that all went well, but all the raves, a lot of the folks I know we're seeing, they're sending back pictures and posting. It looks like it was great. And it's so great for the East Coast fans here in the States to have something a little bit closer than LA and Vegas. Yeah. Or some of the big West Coast Comic-Cons. So all good, and something that's Trek focused too, alongside Trek Vegas, especially now that apparently the Mission franchise is been walked away from. That's totally up in the air. And even with the disarray in Europe here over the license. That was awesome. But yeah, I want to get in and show you. And again, I'm going to get to the chat. I'm going to get through this. I thought today, for one thing, gang o' mine, something that, I am just so proud of this. This took off. I'm going to give all the props in the world to Scott Martin, and Kyle. I took some video bits, did a lot of photos and video. I was there from about 10:30 to 1, wasn't in the first hour, and I missed folks. This is a very serious, it's another day of picketing, but to perk up the spirits of the picketers and to get the broad audience attention out there across the country, around the world. They have theme days, and this is something that started in the 2007 strike. There were only 3 or 4 of them. The Star Trek one got a lot of attention. It was the last thing the old original StarTrek.com crew that I was part of did. The next week, we were all laid off. And no, it was not from covering the strike, as some people said. The bean counters just woke up and had been totally disassociated from what we did. And so the site sat empty for 4 years until licensing and marketing finally got a hold of the keys from Interactive. So those first few years after the divorce, things were still messy for years. Yeah. This was just a year or 2 after the divorce, the Viacom divorce. But now we're all one big happy fleet family again. But years ago, obviously, StarTrek.com reimagined from what it had been the first 15 years or so, 10 or 11 years, and is the Star Trek.com that we know today, without so much a news team, but people writing in. Anyway, I didn't think anything could top that. This was 3 or 4 times just bigger on the numbers, the intensity. There's a lot more Star Treks out there. So, yeah, I shot little video bits and wandered and did stills. I was a one-man band this time. We didn't have, Mark and Tim and Sandy and the crew the way we did in 07. And yet we pulled this. I say I shot it, and then Scott and Kyle edited this. I'm so proud of it. No, we're not going to watch it now. It's 15 minutes. Go to my YouTube, where you are right now if you're on YouTube. Go and watch this. They blew me away. We kept tweaking it and tweaking it. There are so many names and faces that you do so well, and so many names and faces of the new shows. And some of them, you don't know them yet because they worked on the last year of Discovery, which you haven't seen yet. Or they came to second season of Strange New Worlds, and you haven't seen it yet. But we talk, there are so many, I don't even want to get into it. There are so many faces, old and new, that I managed to talk to, or at least whatever. What I wanted to do with you today is there's a lot. There's even some stills slipped in at fun places in this video. I'm just so proud of this. Have I said that? This may be the best video in the 15 years since I first started my blog page, Trekland. This may be the best. Look out of it. And please do. Please do. What I wanted to share with you today actually was some of the most of these are a couple are, but I just wanted to do the photo album. No, I promise it's not our slideshow from the Grand Canyon trip. This is walking up first thing. ABC News 7 here, local LA station, was there. I'm just going to sort through these and we'll see what I've got. We will see how things process. There's Terry himself. This is how Terry lives. This is why Terry is so social. He was talking and texting, tweeting, whatever. Actually, I think he's constantly refreshing to see. I kid. As long as this strike happens, you're never going to see anything about major announcements for new shows until the strike is over. But that was, a fun moment, and you're watching it. So there we have a standard selfie. I wish I had selfies from back in the day when he was answering the phone and running errands, but still working on a writing career when he was Brandon Braga's executive assistant on the last of Voyager and Enterprise. Got Aaron Walke from Prodigy with his, everybody, you saw so many of these signs with his, he was a union man, quote from O'Brien from Bar Association. This is a quickie little bit that I have on my Instagram, if you saw it. And we swing over to, the guy that wrote it, Robert Hewitt Wolf from DS9. And this is the vibe of the day. All these generations of Trek writers, and there were other writers who were just picketing because it was their day to picket at Paramount. But the big bulk of close to 200 people, maybe more, were Trek writers. And then, a little sparkle from the actors that turned up and a few crew. I'll show you. But this was a fun moment. I mean, this is exactly it. It was, you keep making the point that this is serious business and serious work and that nobody enjoys this strike and it's affecting all kinds of people and not just actors and directors. I mean, the secretarial stuff, the assistants and the office staffs of shows that aren't filming right now is a big part of it. But these kind of moments. And here again, here's Jennifer Murrow, who I know from Twitter because her year of a Discovery, of Prodigy is done. And you haven't seen her name on anything yet. And great sign there. But it was a pleasure to see, and some of these folks in real time. That's what's so insane about the streaming world now. They write 1 year, they plan, they R&D prep a season, and then write it. And then there's almost no overlap with writing and shooting. And then most of the writers are let go as they shoot the end of the season. And then we wait a year for it to air. So it's crazy. I so miss the old days. And I know that nobody misses a crunching 26 episode season, except the fans of hit shows. But, just, this was awesome to finally put faces to name. I got to meet Blue DeBarrio. And they were awesome. In fact, here in a minute, I think, this was a spontaneous assortment meetup. This was not planned. A ton of the Discovery writers, which was, kind of wild. I am madly looking here. There were so many of them. I had not met 3/4 of these people. And of course, some of them were only on the show 1 year. Discovery, even though it's been canceled, we haven't seen the 5th year yet. And it is still the grand old man for 5 years. Sorry, everybody. I'm trying to find my bit here. Where are we? So I'm just going to help you out here while you've got a chance, because part of this was about, finding, I'm going to go to the big picture here, finding faces for names that I never knew. We haven't really met yet. So we've got Blue here, of course. This is Selena Cipriazo. She was a writer's assistant on season 3 Disco and a little bit of 4. She left to go write on Clarice and now The Cleaning Lady. So she was a writer's assistant who went on to write, but now she is a full-blown member, and she feels her Picard association strongly. This is Ari Friedman. She was Michelle Paradise's assistant before. Then she became the writer's room assistant on season 5. She wrote her first episode during season 5 as a co-writer with Sean Cochran, who's the one person that's not in this photo, but I caught up to him later that I just talked to. Then Carlos Sisko, who I talked to in a video separately. First off, Carlos Captain Sisko, who not only was a writer's assistant, then in the pipeline, yeah, came up the pipeline and managed to be a writer on staff by the last season, last couple of seasons. We haven't seen some of his work yet. And he was the organizer for the day. He was a site captain at Disney. So there's that. And Eric Robbins, who similarly came up the pipeline back here and got on staff the last season, which we haven't seen yet, but had been there as coming up through the pipeline. And then Ann Caffell Sanders, who a lot of you have seen, her name popping up anyway. She's been there since season 3 and 4. She was on season 3 and season 4. She was another one, the executive producer, co-executive producer then. And this is Glenise Mullins, who was on season 3, had an episode on season 3. See, when they have a theme, it doesn't matter that you're still there. If you had an attachment, if these days when there's a theme, pick it, and it's one of your shows, it's become a big thing compared to the early year. The pioneering days of 2007, I just assumed there'd been 15 more years without a strike. But since there is one, and we've evolved to the point we are with socials and this kind of thing. And then Kyle Jarrow, who is a co-executive producer from season 4 and season 5, the last 2 seasons. And then Terry Hughes Burton, who was in my video the first time I tried to get out online and talk to folks, met Carlos and Eric then over at Disney. If you saw that video, it was a random loose one. She was on season 4. She had a couple of scripts there. And then back over here to Kalinda Vasquez. She was on season 3, a writer. Anyway, this was a huge, this isn't even the entire Discovery staff. Michelle Paradis was not here on strike day, but a lot of the crew were. Yeah. Anyway, those kind of things were wild when they happened. And then in the middle of everything, no, not a writer, but my Congressman Adam Schiff, who's running for Senate in California, came by, talked to the writers for a moment. I grabbed a selfie with him, as a lot of people did. He spoke for just briefly. You can probably find video up, but he was talking about how he was very much on their side, that we couldn't afford to have another industry hollowed out by the Wall Street profit takers instead of the people who run the business, and something that's fair and not letting the changing technologies core out, people being able to make a decent living. And he said, this is not just a Hollywood thing in writers and directors. This is emblematic of what's happening across the country. Not only is it what the entire world keeps their sanity by, their entertainment, it isn't very important, but it's also as a business and an industry and a labor moment. It's exactly what's been happening that's gone wrong in the country at large and how we need to reclaim. So he was, I know Katie Porter came by another strike a couple of weeks ago. So it's, you may say they're grandstanding for votes or something, but when they speak and people know what side their bread is buttered on, it's kind of a moment. Anyway, it was exciting to see, again, my congressman there. So here's one guy you guys know. Oh, got past it. Got to be patient. So yeah, Anthony Montgomery, he's in the video, came by. That's the Hageman brothers, Kevin on the left and Dan, that obviously run are the head guys on Prodigy. Troll Hunters was their first claim to fame and what got them on Alex Kurtzman's radar. They were much there all day long. And there's a thing, like all the Prodigy staffs and Lower Decks, they're on the TAG, the Animation Guild, who have a union which settled their contract last year, but has historically been behind what writers get, and animation has shifted from 3-minute shorts to very respectable primetime shows. Whether it's The Simpsons, or it's Prodigy, half hour of their show is just as intense as a half hour of a live action show. And they're gunning to get the TAG minimums elevated. They're a fraction of what SAG is. And that's out there too. But so all of them are whatever benefits the writers. I said SAG, I meant WGA. Whatever benefits the writers is going to benefit them now and in future. Here's the Benson sisters. Julie and Shauna worked on season 1 of Prodigy. Always a pleasure to see them. They're there. And this is Ann Caffell Sanders that was in the big Discovery shot too. Let me see. So I run into Denise Crosby, And she's like, not yet, Larry. I just picked up a roll. And I said, oh, let's take it. Let's take the croissant and all. So we took it croissant and all. But it was awesome to see Denise out there. And she's doing a podcast now, I think with Dr. Noor. So look for that. Great moments with Ira Bear. And of course, Armin's there. Armin was on the negotiating committee for years with SAG and was very much a part on Star Trek Day in 07. He was there. A lot of folks were working, but there were a lot of actors there. I think you saw some of the photos, but this was a great moment here. And then people kept talking about how the Trek folks that knew their heritage were so thrilled. Well, in 2007, we actually had 2 original series folks with us. David Gerald and Harlan Ellison walked the line in 2007. And, we don't have Harlan, but David Gerald was there. And people love to say, David's here for the original series and the animated. I know, and the animated, representing the 60s and 70s and the whole lineage of Star Trek, which was awesome. And yeah, David Sine said the trouble with tribbles is no residuals. Was the full sign. I think I have Armin's full sign in here too. And these are the kind of moments that happen. So here's Carlos, Captain Sisko, and Lisa Klink meeting Armin Shimmerman. Lisa, who was a writer on Voyager for several years, I think got to be executive story editor. And this guy hiding over here in the pink shirt doesn't really show up in that picture there, I think. Thompson and Weddle. And anyway, I have a whole sequence here of them, but meeting up on the Bradley Thompson, David Weddle, and Bradley's around somewhere. I didn't get a shot with him. That's who was in the pink shirt. So Mike Okuda and Armin, and we had fans there. They didn't want to publicize it too big, but a lot of fans heard and came over. So it wasn't overrun because it's a narrow sidewalk still, and there are people actually picketing the whole time. But on a special day, you make allowance for things like this. So fans taking pictures for them. There's Mike, Armin, and Carlos. So talk about, the generations across the way here. When you put Mike in with the original series movies, you think about what he's doing. Now, I had a very fun little quickie video here. This is the still version of that. So great Mary Chieffo is there. The Klingon Empire supports the strike, obviously. But then she flips the sign and says that in Klingon. And if you haven't seen it, it's cute. It's also, we put that in the video, the 15-minute video too. Too great to miss out on. And there you go. That he was a Union man line is too good to use. Here's the great Dr. Erin McDonald, our science advisor, and an aspiring writer too. She's working her way up that ladder, just the same way Andre did and the same way that Narain Shankar did. But it was awesome to see her there in her "We Can Do It" pose. And just some up and down the sidewalk, both sides of the main Paramount gate there, the Melrose Gate, but the actual circuit of people circling and obeying the traffic. People were coming in and out. It was a neutral gate, so people obeyed the traffic lights. The line was stopped at times. You'll see that. Here's another angle. I love this of the gates. This, if you saw the big family photo, this section here is where everybody was crammed. 120, 150, 200 people were crammed into that corner over there. And I was afraid it wasn't going to take it all. It was done on the fly. It was my idea. Done on the fly. And Carlos at first said, I'm herding cats. We'll never make it happen. But then after another hour, he thought about it and said, well, let's try to do it. And it was awesome. I wish we'd had risers. Now here's Bill Wolkoff, who was our guest last week. My 6th anniversary show came and talked to us live. Had a great sign today, boldly here for each other in a fair deal. So it's good to see Bill in person. We met in person for the first time that day. So that's what an awesome day it was. Here's Armin's full sign. Lucy would be so over you, Paramount. She gave you Star Trek. And of course, Desilu was there. It's the spiritual home Paramount is of Star Trek, not the current home. No current Star Trek is made at Paramount. No current Star Trek is made in LA now that Picard is done. It's all Toronto. But who knows what the future brings. But yeah, the ancestral home is always good to go back to the family estate. This is Maya Virio, That's a Croatian name. She's directed on Strange New Worlds and Discovery. She's a director. She was there watching for the DGA. Her agent was the same as some of the writers. Bill Wolf, this is her agent here. And she says, yeah, I'll go over. I'll be sympathetically there in solidarity. But it was great to meet her. This is my friend James Kerwin. A lot of you know him. Worked on Star Trek Continues. He has a new project coming, Contra Coup. If you haven't seen Yesterday Was a Lie, James is way more than Star Trek, but he's the biggest geek around. And he came over wanted to come over to Star Trek Day and pick it. Section 31 AI, nada. He keeps saying, I wonder why no one's made this connection between Control from season 2 Discovery and all this. So I'm walking around and stumble into these folks. That's Jerry, Santiago Cabrera, and Jonathan Del Arco. And in this guy with a parrot was walking around getting everybody's photos. It was kind of funny. So awesome to see them out live and doing their thing. Again, supporting actors. Here's Sean and the youngest picketer of the day, his young son Louis there. I just had a really good sit down with Sean. My first of the Discovery era, second of the Discovery era. He was there all 7 years. Talk about survivors. Yeah. And speaking of Discovery, who wasn't in the big picture? Here's two of them. Second one, it's Bowie. Bowie. I would always do that. She's gone on to other things. She worked on even developing Section 31 for a while. Your offer is not logical. Could not resist coming over. Partners with Erica. And I say Bowie and Erica so much that I'm missing their lesson. So this is an actress. This is Olivia Youngers. She played Ensign Riggs on Picard last season. And there was a little bit of a controversy about after there's the destruction at the end, or whether she's seen dead or just knocked out. And Memory Alpha has her dead. And she and Terry Metalis, no less, weighed in on Twitter and said, no, she is alive. We did not intend to kill her off. And yet her page reads dead. Because, when you're an admin on Memory Alpha, you have all the power in the world. But Olivia was great. She was wearing, you'll see in the video, she's got her Voyager leggings on, her Elcars. It was awesome. But Ensign Riggs is very much alive. We wanted to know. And Gabrielle Stanton and Mark Altman, who have been involved with Star Trek. Gab has a bit of it before her career took off and before Mark's career took off. They have some writing credit, one off, I think, second season Discovery, but it was a strike. Good to see them in the line. Again, most of these, Liz Vassy, I had a tiny little crush on her when she was first on there. She was the lab. She went on to be in the Range show on CSI all the years as the lab chief there. One of the nerds. And the amazing CSI Star Trek sci-fi convention show, she's a big part of that. Anyway, she's gone on to write and produce, and she came back. She wanted to be there for the Star Trek Day. She was one of the front con, I think she had a part on a Next Generation. She was in Command Red Maroon. And here you go. You got Jerry O'Connell and Rebecca Romaine there. What is he doing? It's not enough to be all over Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks. He's got to go pitch to Dan Hegman here. What is this? No, I'm kidding. This is being held up while they're assembling people to go over just to get into the big family picture. Anyway, that's a fun close-up. If you step back to the wider shot, here's Dan, here's Kevin Hegman, here's Aaron Waltke again, here's Jennifer Miro. So you got a little mini prodigy thing going on here. Those two, aren't they enough of a power couple without horning in on things? Let's see. And yes, I looked over and ran into these guys showing me off their Enterprise crew caps. I said, what are you doing? Keeping your head down? You don't have to be ashamed of Enterprise. Are you kidding? People love Enterprise. We were laughing. It was like, yeah, they both said, yeah, it's good. So Juan Carlos Fernandez, who was the script coordinator back on the day, who's gone on to work came up, especially on Scandal, and Chris Black, who was producer, wrote the original Andorian show for Enterprise, helped develop them, and was there in the middle years of Enterprise, and both very happy to represent Enterprise there in the day. Of course, Andre Bermanis was around. They even had game writers, and I didn't get to meet anybody from from STO or Adventures. But the guys from who just got nominated for an Eisner Award, you'll see in the piece of IDW, doing all kinds of canon hither and yon, fill the gaps for all the original series, Next Gen, Voyager, DS9, Enterprise. And they kind of start off the video when you see it. It's amazing with their enthusiasm. And then here's just a random. This is Andrea from the Discovery staff, Carlos from Discovery, Eric Robbins again from Discovery. Back here, you've got Michael Taylor from Voyager talking to, this is the only one of the pictures I have here of Bradley Thompson, who's Dave Weddle's partner from DS9, down here talking. There's Sirach, yes, and Chase, and Bill Wolkoff again, and Avi, who was a writer's assistant now for Starfleet Academy, worked with Michelle Paradise, and is now the writer's room assistant for Starfleet Academy, who have had their development interrupted by the strike and will be pushed back further now for months. But see, this kind of mashup is just amazing. It was this kind of a day. And again, people said, well, I look around when we're posing for the picture, and there's that Spock guy next to me, Ethan, and somebody I've been following on Twitter, Davey Perez, who is been with Strange New Worlds all 3 seasons and is still there. And we got to talk for a minute and meet. It was such a great day for meeting people. This is Glenise Mullins, who worked on 3rd season Discovery, only 1 year. She had 1 script, in those major 12 script episodes or seasons. But very sweet, has gone on to write other things. See, even when you had the streaming years, the intense 26 episode years, people did maybe leave at half season or come in at half season. You had a 13-week contract out of your 26, or a 13 episode contract for 26. But with the streamers, the seasons are so short. 1 year is stressful and long. 1 year of prepping and writing and filming it, and then you finally see it air, you're on another show sometimes by then. And a lot of folks were on Discovery. It's the 5 year. We'll see what happens. It's already happening with Strange New. It's already happened with Picard. It's the nature of the beast now, which is a downer, but it's also part of the thing why they're striking, because the seasons are so short for them, payment and benefits and all of that. People have to work 2 and 3 jobs. I know you say, well, that's not the same as somebody working 2 jobs, a day job and a night job to make ends meet. No, but they've got to get through the year and the way they qualify for their pensions and benefits. They have to have X amount, and none of that infrastructure, those models have adjusted the explosion of streaming. And streaming's not this little sliver over here. Streaming is majority of TV now. And, at the head of that forefront was Netflix. So yay, the boom in choices was great. But the real world effects are what the writers and the actors and the directors and the IATSE crews, what they're all dealing with. And we're not even talking about the AI looming menace. So that's why you have that, Discovery is the grand old man now of the Star Treks with five, not a 6th, but 5 years. And we'll see if anybody surpasses it in this model. And Discovery had early seasons of more than 10. 10 is now the standard. They had the 15, the 14, the 13-year season. So they've had a lot of, that's why that picture was so big. And there were still folks that weren't in that group picture. Anyway, it was nice to chat with Glenise. She's gone on and you can IMDb all these things. So Al McElroy has been part of Discovery for a long time. And he's been around Hollywood a long time. You can see there, sporting a little veteran's mark. And original series fan, you'll enjoy our little brief conversation. He told me his 3 favorite original series episodes as a kid still, and then had to throw in a 4th. So that's a teaser for the video. But great to meet him, seeing him as a name all these years. And here's Avi again. The writer had a great sign. Workers of the world unite. You have nothing to lose but your chains. Karl Marx. And oh, by the way, as requoted by Rom. Okay, just some, the public support has been so great. You can check it out. I've got it in the video. We talked about it with Carlos and Eric and Terry. There's a community support fund for all the writers' assistants and office staff, and just stage people who aren't covered by a union to help them out. There's a community support fund. If you feel like donating to, or if you're in the middle of the country, nowhere near New York or LA to actually go physically pick it, and you want to help do a little bit of something, you know, $5, $10, $20. If you feel like you want to help out somehow, you can do that. There's also a fan. I've got her listed too, who is specifically, a lot of the fandoms and genres have fans who have risen up to help their writers, just to show them that one-to-one fan to franchise caring. So that's been a thing. At the same time, you see all kinds of bakeries and store shops and, you know, drink shops, pizzas, burgers, sandwich shops sending over food for the picketers. That sometimes you would see it. It's in the video too. I tried to get. Jennifer Murrow was talking about the public support, and she was talking about the cars honking as they drove by. And every big truck bangs on its horn. It could very well be a union driver, a Teamster running that truck, and they're leaning on their horn. But also just the food and the waters and the ice cream and the shaved ice. And it's amazing. The public support's been incredible. And somebody baked, yes, WGA cookies. I got a couple of them. They were excellent. Sweetest stuff around. I miss sugar cookies. This is a fan artist. I apologize. I don't know his name, but I've seen it pop up. They popped up. Chase was giving these out, which was awesome. But it's the scene from the Bar Association. I just thought it was cool to have it back there with the strike signs behind. Somebody left one on the table, and I thought, well, there's a little moment in time. And I wanted to show you, I found my 2007 strike shirt, and you see the front all the time. It's logic, you know, it's the good of the many over the needs of the one or the few. The needs of the many, as in the union and individual corporates making 200 million apiece. But the backside has LLIP, the Vulcan sign, and Trekkies support the WGA from December 2007 on the back. So I just want to throw that in just in case, just so you would know. And Andre Bermanis had his shirt on. I saw a couple other ones from 2007 there. And David Goodman, who missed the main part of David's past president of the WGA. He's gone on beyond writing North Star and being the comedy guy from Futurama's episode coming on to Enterprise. As you know, he's had quite a career over at Family Guy, and most recently on the Orville with Seth. So, but the last few years, he was president during the big, it wasn't as big in public as the strike here for the rest of the country, but a big reform in the way agents packaged writers and took away income. And anyway, they totally reformed something that had grown over the last few years and basically gave power back, earning capacity and power back to the writers, not their agents, which was a big thing to get accomplished. And he's still involved in the leadership team and is running around. You can follow his streams to his channels, his Instagram and his Twitter, and see what he's been up with and who he's picketing with today. But of course, he got over a little late, but I knew him, and he's in the video from afar. But we did get to talk, and this is a lot of you have seen this out and about. I'm back here. You'll see that in the video, and as usual, the actors there are all down front, but not that. What's sad is this area here. It is so dense, and it's on one level. At least we had the level here. You know, people could kneel and then stand and then rise up. I feel badly because all these folks over in here, they're lost. So in the video where I'm standing in the back here, I tried to give you some depth and let you see who's, but it really is. It's not so much a where's Waldo. It's where's Waldo 1, where's Waldo 2, where's Waldo 3. Who's that Waldo? Which Waldo is that? And I was just glad that we got to preserve all this. Now, a lot of people, I'm going to wrap it up here. A lot of people see this and they went, oh, look, someone came in costume. Someone came in uniform. Yay, lower decks, lower decks. Well, it's not just a fan there. It turns out that, because I met him after this was over. This is John Mendoza, big Star Trek fan. He goes on the cruise. He's in LA, and he works in the Writers Guild office. So I got to tell him, thank you very much. Our little $12 check that comes every quarter for Voyager, whatever it is, $12, $9, $16 on a good time. It's always been like clockwork for both of us. We each get a separate check. And that the office has been great, and congratulations. And so he's at the WGA, but he was there because he was a Trek fan and wanted to be supportive. So when you see that guy at the side, that was John. That was John. So I can go back to this. This was again, watch the video. There's a lot of individual moments when we're talking to folks. A lot of them that weren't. Most everybody at least had a steal here, but some others weren't, and a lot of folks that I wanted to show you my little slideshow here. Hope I didn't put anybody to sleep. Hope we didn't do a snooze-a-rama there, but just an incredible day. And it got tiring after a while, especially the people I knew well, to talk. We all had to say, this has just been amazing. And a lot of the, not so much younger, but newer Trek folks, and the younger ones too. Everybody has their perspective. Some of those were, office assistants that were planning on, they have a mentor on the staff and they're wanting to 1 year do that and then maybe pitch a story and sell a script or co-write one and then get on staff later on. And, so many of them were Trek fans to begin with, and you'll hear that. So it's a dream come true for them to be writing on the revival of Trek. And so many of them, on staff or not, they're like Aaron and Robert Wolf. Like Carlos put the thing together. I think he's like a lot of con throwers in the old days. He put the con together just so he could meet all those people. And of course, it was awesome to meet actors and talk with them. But writers were having a field day, meeting Ira and meeting Wolfie and meeting David Gerald and meeting so many. Brandon was there earlier. I missed Scott Bakula. Scott was there, Mr. Early Bird Marathon runner. He was there the first hour and I missed him. I briefly saw Brandon. So there were, a lot of folks there. It was just an incredible day. I hope we can transfer some of that out. The fact that it was the Friday before, a really fun panel to do with a virtual panel to do with Walter. The fact that it was the Friday before the Cisco Day events of Monday that I had a sliver of. And yeah, the fact that I had a Will Rogers Day out at the park. Yeah, it's been just a wild last few days here for me personally, for Trekland. But that strike day was just incredible. And long after, I hope we get this damn strike settled, because the directors are negotiating right now, and the actors will start negotiating in June. All three of the writers are always like, when there's a major issue, sometimes it's a thing for the writers, and it's not really on the radar. It's not of importance to the directors and actors. They'll be in sympathy, but there's very few times something that's in the interest of a writer is not in the interest of anybody else. This time, it's in the interest, because we're talking about, again, it's a paradigm shift. What streaming, not streaming so much, but the short seasons. And yeah, the streaming model has done. You totally took away the old network commercials, airtime, Nielsen ratings model, and we've gone to this. And just the fact that there's not the transparency, right? We talk about that every week with the ratings, with the parrot ratings, not Nielsen's. Although, yes, there's Nielsen's now trying to measure streaming, but it's not the same, Captain. It's not the same. So the same things that percolate up in other ways are right at the heart of these issues. People love to get freaked out about AI. And in whatever incremental on the spectrum part that could take away work from writers and actors, obviously, they want to put that genie back in the bottle, that toothpaste back in the tube before any more gets out, no matter what state it's in right now. Because before you know it, in the blink of an eye, it'll explode, take off. And then you're looking at it from the tail end or the front end of that bazooka, not the back end. But it's about a lot more than AI. And they've got to basically, the system that's existed for 30 years, ever since Lucy and Desi came up with reruns, ever since that era, it's a totally new thing. So this is a paradigm shift that's affecting everybody, directors and actors, and the IATSE crews, even the way they work. And the Teamsters are all hugely, Teamsters have been blocking gates. They see two picketers at some town where there are Atlanta or whatever, Seattle, Vancouver. If they see New Orleans, Chicago, if they see two picketers picketing a studio gate, they will not cross for the most part. And, every town is not LA and New York. So that's been a huge thing. But that's how this is not just your old, we're arguing over numbers kind of a strike. Okay. You've heard me talk about this before. You've seen it talk. If you're following any of the creatives and many of the actors, Instagrams and Twitters, especially, and Facebook, you'll know, and you'll see what's going on. So yeah, what an incredible week. I am so proud of that video. I hope you all go over and watch it. I hope everyone, if you haven't already, will go like and subscribe on my channel, YouTube. I'm going to be doing more and more lives direct to YouTube. So you want to ding the bell. It won't always just be Tuesday here. I'm going to intend, because the YouTube metrics are what I should be building up on. So just fair warning. I'm not going to shut down everybody else, but we did the panel. The Cisco Day panel was restreamed to YouTube only. I didn't do the side channels. The other day at the strike, I didn't do a live video at the strike, if you'll notice. I did, so we had better camera quality. But there you go. We produced something. I did do a live broadcast on YouTube direct, nothing else, but just YouTube. So if you had your alerts set, you missed it. And even then, I pointed at David, who was there later, and Jonathan Fernandez, who was a season 1 writer on Enterprise, who I had never met, walked by, recognized me, and said, "Hey, Larry." And we have a brief conversation on that live segment straight to YouTube. So you never know. It's the power of live. It's the power of math. So yeah, what a week. I need to recuperate a little bit. But what I do want to say, thank you for all of this. And in a way, again, thank you so much to our Patreons, our TTLers, Diana Hopkins, Robin Wilson, Lawrence Todd, Anne-Marie Siegel, Justin Porteous, Galinda Bruton, Chris Jiggins, Pranakasha Productions, Comedy Forecast, and our newest, and Andrew Jazimski, and of course our live wires, Robert McLean, Byron Bailey, J.R. Poole, Halbjörn Gunn Johnson, Alan Hoensi, David Gregory, Tobias Rex, Donna S. Runyon, and Casey Shafsky. Thank you all so much. If you want to help our little burgeoning media empire here, the video side of Trekland, you can help out with Patreon. It's going to take me a while with $5 and $10 levels. That may take a while, but I'm keeping it simple on purpose for folks who want to help out, donate at this level. Thank you so much. I need to update the Portal 47 archival interviews selection for the TTLers, but everybody, $5 and $10 gets a shout out like this. Patreon.com/Trekland Live. Thank you all so much. And hey, it is getting to be summer. It's going to be warm weather, striking or not. And if you come now, we might even see a striking line. But if you're in LA, business or pleasure, you got a spare day, come take a Trekland trek with me. What is that you say? It's your own custom designed away mission to one of the location sites that, from any of the areas of the eras, I should say too, of LA-based Star Trek, which used to be all of it. So nothing from Discovery or Strange New. Starfleet Academy's not out yet, but Picard and then all the older series have location sites to go visit. Some are iconic, right? Some are obscure. I will help you with it. We'll do it. We'll have a quick lunch in the day. I will pick up your hotel and back. TreklandTreks.com. Would love to do. I've got to announce this, but if you're in town for Comic-Con San Diego in July, I'm going to offer, as I did with the cruisers, I'll do a prearranged, slightly less expensive group designed tour to the basics. But if you want that'll be like the day before and the day after, give it a day to travel, San Diego, LA. But if you're hanging around SoCal for a day or two either side of San Diego Comic-Con in late July, give me a buzz and keep watching. We may do another special group, in the van. Otherwise, feel free anytime of the year. We'll do a custom one just for you, a Trekland trek. Okay, just reach out and get a hold of me. Go to the site, go to my home site, and check it out. But that to say, it's a Tuesday. There's another Trek Files up. It's an awesome one. We've got David Fine back, who was the head producer of the team, doing with Darren Doctorman and Mike Matessino, the ones that first worked with Robert Wise to reboot the motion picture and make it the movie that it was intended to be, the one we've lovingly made fun of for all these decades. is not the movie it was supposed to be, and is not the movie it is now. And now the 4K edition has even amped that up. Have you seen it? And if you see it on the largest screen you can. Folks would love to see this in theaters besides these one-off screenings. If you're in LA and you're, New York, and you're lucky enough to see it, they want the world to see it on the big screen again. It is not the movie you've made fun of all these years. And if you loved it, you will love it so much more. David's our guest on the Trek Files this week, with an amazing article from 1980. You too can create your own bridge monitor, those wacky little oval monitor things from the bridge that had their own saga. They were so loud because they were all individual, all of that. Jesko von Puttkamer, the science advisor, wrote basic code on his Trash 80 Radio Shack computer, and it's reproduced in this magazine, this computer magazine. And anyway, it's amazing. You need to see the Trek Files this week, folks, and get the document for sure at our Facebook page. It was just too much fun. Too much fun this week. It was a perfect hiatus topic. There's been some developments with the 4K. It's been tweaked even more for Dolby and Atmos sound, and it was just incredible. Most of all, and if you're leaving us now, because you're watching later, it's at Larry Nemechek is where I am. Find me anytime at Larry Nemechek on Twitter and Mastodon. Larry Nemechek's Trekland on Facebook. Instagram is cool too right now for me. And yeah, YouTube and portal47.net. If you're going to jump in with us deep diving, you just might as well get in. If you saw, or if you go to see the Cisco Day panel that I led with Lou Race and Dennis Matalone and Robin Morcelli, that is exactly what we do every month in Portal 47 on guest night. And it's exactly the same kind of attitude I bring to everything. If you think this is a deep dive every week, oh boy, as they used to say. Well, that's going to do it for us for now. Hang on with me if you're live. We're going to take a short break and I'll be back and we will dive into this chat. But if you're watching us later, I hope you can jump in with us sometime live. It's at 1 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. UK time, 10 p.m. Central Europe. I love it when we have the global folks show up. It's the next morning in Australia and East Asia. Love for you to be able to do that with us sometime. Until then, till next time we meet, and the way things are going these days, who knows where that might be. Although I am looking forward to SoonerCon at the end of June. Yeah, until we meet again next Tuesday or otherwise, or watching all the great assembly of content, the whole day of Cisco Day, the Cisco Day, not just my hour. Hey, until then, stay healthy, do all the things. Stay woke, check your sources, and trek well, everybody. Okay. How did we do today? Let's see. I think we may have had a couple of, I got little alerts that the streaming signal was a little laggy, so I hope that didn't interfere anything. It's been a long time since we've had signal strength issues. And I hope it wasn't because I had that huge photo album sitting here in the Restream app studio with me. Oh my goodness. Good to see everybody. Good to see everybody. So many folks here. Absolutely, Melanie. Absolutely. Modesto, future home of Bradford Boimler. Absolutely. Soon to be seen in live action. Hello, Maria, once again. See, there we go. Hello back to you in Brazil. I hope things are well. Brazil's been a little dicey the last few months. I hope things are things settling down for you and your fellow folks living in the 21st century. Oh, thank you so much, May. The chat with Walter was wonderful. Yes, it was rather early in the morning. If I think it's early for me, he was pumping up on coffee, and we had a couple of tech issues on my end, not his. So that's why we did it in frame. I'm not sure exactly what happened still, but there we go. Hello, there we go. Yes, big hearts to the Nichelle Nichols Foundation. And it's just getting started. Only got started right before the holidays. So we are just now pumping up. I should have said this up front. The big plan is to send several young women, and especially urban women, women of color, people who otherwise might not get a shot at this, to go to space camp next summer. As many as we can. It's a big ticket item. They want to send several, and that's what the original round of donations is going for, because that's a wonderful investment in the future in so many ways, in the tech and technology, and just in the STEAM arenas. Well, good to know. Good to know, Dave. Yeah, there's live chat going on through the Hailing Frequencies sessions that Nichelle's foundation has. Boy, Dave, you're just going at it, but sure thing. Well, I want to be a part of that. Hopefully I can bring what I liked. My specialty here is, although I had Walter. I'm, guys, gals, peeps, I'm not allergic to actors. Some of my best friends are actors. But they're always going to get interviewed. Sometimes I feel like I have to do it to prove that I know how to talk to a non-backstage person. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. But there you go. And as you'll see in the video, we have no problems either. Oh, yes, absolutely. Let's see. There you go. Don't take my word for it, or what's LeVar's? But you don't have to take my word for it. BYD, yes, everything. Well, Cairo. I mean, that resurgence game, that's pretty special. That's never going to be back again, unlike today's dream. No, I'm kidding. Yes. The Cisco Day session was pretty good. You love to hear those background stories. Well, gosh, Cairo, I have a package for you called Portal 47. You should really check it out sometime. Cairo's one of the oldest members. Oh my goodness, Christoph, you're traveling to, what is this? May? FedCon? Whatever. But at least, yeah, everything's recorded. If you miss it live, you can always jump in and see it again. What is this, Christoph? Destination Not Star Trek has announced the event in Germany in July, 2 months after FedCon at the very same hotel. Okay. Well, that's not exactly piggybacking anyone for cost savings. So there you go. But there's the link. Okay. Thank you. Keeping us honest there across the deal. Wanda. Hey, Wanda. Well, great. You know what? All three of them have been Portal 47 guests in the past. And I just knew, the day was about the Cisco and Avery Brooks, but then it was, and DS9 in general. And some of the panels focused on Avery, on the character of Cisco, some larger questions. And I didn't have anyone, his fictional biographer, Derek Attico. So I knew that if we were going on a spectrum of topics from Avery and Cisco and the show, that I wanted folks that knew him well I wanted backstage people, because, I almost called Mike Westmore or found somebody on the makeup team, and they're there, but I really wanted to have people every day. So if there were some Avery Brooks stories, that they would be told by folks who were actually there. But again, it's like Portal 47. It's an aspect of the show that is so much of the unseen that brings you the enjoyment that you get from these episodes and these series, these themes, these arcs, these performances, the scripts, the designs, but you don't know that's what you're seeing. I always say Portal is for all the Star Trek fans who have no idea how much Star Trek they have no idea about. And that's exactly what you saw on our panel the other day. And that was 3 of them sparking each other, but only having, a third of an hour each. And people were screaming by the end in the chat, we need more of this. We need another hour. And that was true. In fact, I will tell you guys, Dennis had to leave, But, and this came up, I went right past me, man. I should have made more of it. The three of them, somewhere between pandemic and just everybody being in their lives, the three of them, it was a reunion for them. And after we were off live, I I couldn't get them to shut up. Dennis had to leave after a minute or two. But Lou and Robin, we finally ended about an hour later. It's like they were, and it wasn't like, how's your kids? How's the dog? How's the house? It was wanting to talk about Star Trek in those days and the crew and the work and DS9's place in the universe and in the franchise. And it was amazing. At one point, I'm like, why am I not recording this? And I did start to record a little bit just in the middle, like, oh, start the cameras. And then I let it, and then I thought, well, we're done, and turned it off, and then it picked up again. And no, we were on literally our Restream studio just like this. We were on for a full hour after the live show ended. And once or twice I said, why am I not recording this? But they all say, anytime you want to do something like that, and so many of the cast and crew, if they were there for many years, it's like I was saying with the writers coming and going. Sometimes the world and the situation, the infrastructure is against you. But in those days, it was very much, unless you did something really to screw up, or you really got on somebody's bad side, or you were incompetent, which by that time, hopefully you would have not. It's like professional athletes being on teams. Sometimes you wind up, your career is going from team to team. Sometimes you find a home and you stay there. And sometimes you're there for almost the entire run, and then you retire somewhere else. Or sometimes you come just a year in and then you're there. It's amazing. I never thought of that until just now. And we don't think anything about that. We always remember those who were franchise players, right? But there's, the journeyman, it's just like the everyday actors that don't have any big starring roles, but you see them working everywhere, the Susan Olivers of the world. Anyway, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Wanda. And again, you should take a look at Portal. You should take a look at Portal if you enjoyed it. And anybody. Oh, hi, Adam. It's been a while since I've seen you, but yay, good deal. It is FedCon. I thought so. Well, let us know what you think. I need to give Dirk a poke and see if he'd ever have me back sometime. It's been since 2016, I think. Hey, Analysis. You do stand with the writer. Hope the writers stand with neurodiversity. Did you see some of the writers? I don't think there's much, especially as we get younger. I think everyone's intellectually in favor of neurodiversity. Now we have the buzzword for, things that we did and didn't know to have a name and a label for it, but being able to say that. Yes. What now? Really upset about how to Packard car portrayed as an R-word stereotype. Oh, I see what you mean. That would be a sensitivity line to be sensitive about. I understand what you're saying. I hear you. You know what? This is another movement that's coming up, and I'm going to think that maybe there have been some, TNG is done, but and you're dealing with an alien. It's just the same thing as gender and sexuality, maybe. Things like form and function and adaptation to the environment are alien things. Everything can be an alien. It's not, if it's alien is almost subjective. Alien is almost racist. Alien to who? Alien to Earth is what we say when we mean it, and it's always cringy in the original series to hear them throw that word out. Aliens. They're talking about Vulcans and Andorians, and they've been in this government together for 100 years by that time. But your point well taken. Point well taken. The cringy years passing moments. That will be interesting. If I ever get a chance to bring that up with Mike the next time we have a sit down or something formal situation, I will bring that up. I will bring that up. RHW. Yeah. I always feel bad calling him Wolfie. I always think that was like Ira's pet name for him, and nobody else is entitled to say Wolfie. I did ask him that one time, though. Very good. Thank you, Susan. If you enjoyed it, share it around. It was the most produced thing I think I've ever produced. And again, my hat is off to Scott and Kyle for the awesome job they did. Oh, well, very nice. Thank you. You know what? Thank you, Pranakasha. I keep forgetting to mention that you can do super chat tips now that I'm monetized here on YouTube. All righty. Do I know when the union deals for other crafts are coming up for eventual renewal? So yeah, the big three, Christoph, directors, they're like ding, 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 almost a month apart. So the directors, now the writers Guild West and East, they're actually separate unions, but they're working together. They have different, their structure is different, and it's a lot closer than it was just a few years ago. But they'd been negotiating for 6 months ahead of the contract deadline, the end of the contract expiration date, which was May 1st, which is why the strike started on May 2nd. They called a strike vote after 5 months of negotiating and getting nowhere. Not even the producers wouldn't even come back on about 3/4 of the topics they had down. So they wouldn't even talk about it. It wasn't that they disagreed, they wouldn't talk about it. So they had been talking. Now, the directors didn't set up such a long, 6 months. I think the directors set up a month or two, but their contract is up very soon. The actors just are in the middle. I hadn't checked this. The actors are in the middle of doing a strike vote, a strike authorization, not go on strike because their deadline hasn't passed. But they're saying if we do not come to new terms by our contract deadline, then we will strike. It's a bargaining chip. And that's why the Writers Guild did that, to show that of the 89% of the writers members that voted, 93% were in favor of a strike. So it was like, look, we're unified. We're not, you can't play us. It's a tactic, but it's also a great barometer to show themselves, to take an internal measurement of what's going, how far can we push this? Are we all together if we go on strike? We're not going to cave after a week or two, are we? I mean, it's a labor thing. It's a good old fashioned, labor management negotiating thing, but also, again, taking an internal poll. Well, the actors in the middle of doing that too. Now the directors, directors are a little more laid back, and the writers are the radicals, and the actors are out like right behind them. And the directors are all kind of a little more laid back, maybe in tone, but they all revolve in the same universe when it comes to some of these issues. And the directors are up next, and then the actors are they haven't gone to negotiation yet. The directors are negotiating right now, not with as long a lead time. The writers set down 6 months because they thought it was going to take that. And it did, and more, obviously. So those three. Now, the Teamster, IATSE's contract was a year or two ago. But what the big three are going to do is going to affect how shows are produced. How, are they 10 and 12 and 15 versus 26? And the way, if you're assigned on a show, and, and the IATSE is everything from the art directors, that's Mike and Denise and Herman Zimmerman's and Doug Drexler, and that's their guild, and they're IATSE merch, all the way down to the office staff. I don't mean all the way down, but across many persuasions, makeup and hair and props, and are all in IATSE, and the gaffers and the grips and lighting people. That's all different slivers and different locals of IATSE. And then the Teamsters are the drivers, who are omnipresent. But they're united this way because this is a paradigm shift. This is the way the whole industry is organized and paid, and that's why it's affecting everybody. So these are all coming up very quickly. We can figure out, you can find the exact dates of when the contracts end. They want to negotiate and have a new contract in place before the deadline, and if they don't, they might vote to keep talking. As long as it's good faith negotiation, they'll put aside the deadline and not go to an immediate strike. Or they say, hey, if we're not done by deadline time, then we will strike. That's what the writers did. That's what the actor is in the middle of doing. And you'll see people commenting in their socials, this is why I voted yes for a strike authorization. Not to go vote, not to go strike immediately, but to have a strike if they don't get their shit together and come up with a deal. There you go. Yeah. Contract. Everybody like that. Let's see. Okay. Actual. Let's see. She's one I would have to go reclaim her name here. Let me see. I think that's Kalinda Vasquez. Yes. I think so. She was she worked on season 3. Writer. Yes, you can check her credits. I didn't do that part. Let me see something real quick. Okay, good. What are you saying here? Because don't downplay David Jarrell's role around TNG. To those who don't know about that, buy and watch The Center Seat. Yes, I did not mean to leave David out, even though you won't find a credited script by him. Very much part of the early drama. David's name is not on, even as a co-writer, is not on the writer's guide, which so much of seminal. That's what the Trek Files is for. You can read my chapter in the TNG Companion, but we get into so much more detail on the Trek Files, and we're going to have David on the Trek Files and finally get into Fire and Ice and Blood and Ice and whatever it was being named at the time. Yeah, you won't. You will find very as the years go by. Analysis, you will find supportive. That's what they're doing. They're in the business of and staying on top of things. Okay. Yep. Question. Another question, Christoph. Since before your son burned hot in space, had the different filmmaking unions always stick together, or does the AI threat glue them together more even after all? The AI, well, there's two big ones. One is the AI threat, yes. And the fact that actors are already, if they don't have the clout, they're already in a boilerplate contract. They're already having to sign away their future image rights. Like if the show that they're blind joining, if they're in a pilot, it might become a huge hit show that spawns a franchise with holographic games in 30 years, and their image is still very much a part of that. Look at the original series cast in the 60s. Who knew the things that those images, and who knew there'd be an animated show or a holographic theme park or something at some point that would still be using Leonard's face or Crewman Smith's face, for that matter. 50, 60, 70 years from now. That was just unheard of at the time. So they're already, those in perpetuity clauses in people's contract. You're doing it because you're young and desperate and hungry, and this is a big break. And it's only years later that you go, well, I had to, they made me do it. Well, they're trying to cool that instead of just getting these blanket sign-offs. But that's the AI. It's the thing about the stream, what streaming does to the rerun model. It's basically broken. It's a joke. Writers' incomes with inflation have dropped like 23% in the last 10 years, and they may be writing just as much, but the way the formulas and the structure is set up now, and writing and not getting paid for it, they're developing shows and then don't get picked up in it. It's insane. Or showrunners that are made to work on short shows, but they have nobody else. It's just them. It's insane. So that is why, yes, it's the whole rejiggering of the model you're paid by that hasn't adjusted yet. The model you're paid by is the dying one that maybe 20% of Hollywood is sticking to. And a lot of these issues don't apply so much to, say, screenwriters. The AI aspect would apply to screenwriters. Screenwriters, it's not so much about residuals. And by the time you're a movie writer, you're on that level, you're negotiating your own contract anyway. But the minimums is what's going on underneath that. Let's see. Christoph, there was an episode of CSI that took place at a sci-fi convention. And I'm away from but two of the lab rats, they called them the lab rats. It's like when Nog spends his whole time in Vic's Hollow Suite. And you're like, it's two recurring characters. What is this? It was that kind of a format, but the bit of it was taking place at a sci-fi con, and Ron Moore has a cameo, and the plot is about a writer who changed a beloved series with his reboot. The way people attack Ron Moore over Galactica, and Ron gets to be a fan that goes, "You suck," at the writer, and it was an awesome show. But they had Liz's role in CSI as a lab rat. She got to be nerdy in that. Anyway, I told her I remembered that role. But she's gone on to write and produce herself since then. Yeah. I used to kid about how when all the Trek went down in 2005, CSI was the show that was keeping all the CG artists alive, because suddenly it was, they would show the cells moving down the artery in your leg of poison or something, and or how the beetles were decapitating, plants that, the dead body. This is true. AI could replace almost everybody eventually. Writers, actors, graphic artists, editors. Maybe not yet, but there will be, and always to come. Uh-oh, what are you saying here, Melanie? Your Facebook page was hacked. All your friends have been sent a fake link on private messenger, supposedly it's at you in the video. Do not. Okay, thank you. Here we go again. It's 2023, sadly, but thanks for the upfront warning. It's very Rebecca Romaine in the third franchise, and it's unique that Mystique morphed into so many roles. Boom, there you go. Mona, guess what? They were, and I'm a connoisseur. I have to back off my sweet tooth, or I would just be all over it all the time. But they were so good. The cookies were sweet, and then the icing was the icing wasn't pablum. It was real, sugar cookie frosting. Okay, I'll say it again. They were so good. NCIS Sydney is the new spinoff. There you go. As not to be confused with Hello Sydney. Anybody remember that? Tony Randall's sitcom, and I don't mean The Odd Couple. He was supposed to be a single gay man, and that was in the 80s, and it was totally downplayed. They never came out and said he was gay. Yeah, look that one up. Okay. Looking for questions. Looking for actual questions. Yeah. What's cool is all the faces that you don't recognize yet. And what's sad is all the faces that you can't see. Like I said, that one half, there was no second level. Everybody was just on the sidewalk. I feel so bad. But I'm glad that I was at that pivot point and can get around. And you'll see them from the backs and from the sides, but it's better than being obscured. I need to sit down with, and there are a lot of folks that you'll see in the video, there's a still with me and Alex. Let me see if I can find it. I didn't mention it a while ago. I'm gonna, oh boy. This is gonna be something if I can get all the way back to the front. Well, I'll save that and come back to it in a minute. I have to go all the way back to this stack of photos. Yeah, so many folks that I had to, that I heard about later and went back over to see, and then there were a lot of those folks that I never had the chance to get back, because after the photo, everybody started to break up, and that, by 12:30, a lot of folks had moved on. Gonna see if I can do this. Okay, we're in chat mode here. Boy, there's a lot of these. Okay, here's Mary. See, we're saving you all from this agony here. Right along in here. Come on, come on, come on. Scintillating video time, gang. I know. I think it's right here, right here, right. Where are we? Nope. Nope. I swear to God. Okay, well, I missed it. No worries. But the new showrunner, Noga Landau, was there. I did not know who she was. Minutes later, an hour later, I was told that she was overstanding by Alex, and I was like, oh, I would have been able to say hello and introduce, and much less get a photo, be on top of things. But again, they're there. They're there. We had showrunners there, which was awesome, past and present. All right. Sorry for that lag, guys. I tried. May have slipped right through. I'm sitting here now thinking, okay. Okay. Don't keep trying, Larry. Just move along. I think that the group, Terry was there, but I think the group that I saw the least of, but they were there, were some of the Picard staff. And of course, which that changed over time too. Gummit. Anyway, she's in the video. We at least point out her face from afar in the video. Not that I tried to do a lot of that, but that was a notable exception, I thought. Okay, back to our gaggle here. So weird. Oh, no? Okay, and? Huh. I guess I didn't have it in here. You did see. Great. Did you enjoy it, Carl? I hope you did. Oh, someone mentioned this. Hey, Roland. Garrett and Robbie had a great time with our episode Prophecy this week. Both gave it a 7.5 out of 10. That's awesome. That's awesome. I have been so out of it. I need to get back. I've been a little distracted the last few days. Maybe someone can organize a convention from the Paramount Gates. Yeah, that might be a little tough to do. If you wanted 15 people to show up, or you saw what the effect 200 people had there. Let me see. What are we going? Hey, Zahir, what radius within LA are the tours located? You were in SoCal the other week, but only had half a day free. Well, I set it up. The Trekland Treks is a custom model designed to be 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. or 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., such as that. And 4 sites in the 6 hours plus a fast food lunch in the middle. Me picking you up, me getting you back to your hotel. That's really kind of worth it, because then we're planning, because part of this is not just picking where you want to go, but when is it a place that has limited hours? Is it more public? Is it more private? Is it a weekend? Yes or no? Is it a weekday yes or no? Or Monday closed or whatever. So I work with you on all that, so you're not doing it on your own. And then, of course, just dealing with LA traffic and the different ways LA traffic manifests on weekdays or Fridays or Sundays and Saturdays. So that's all part of the equation, but that's what I do for you, aside from bring you all the Star Trek data and stories and photos and wrangle you and your props and your cosplay or your stuffed animals or action figures or whatever is part of your entourage for you and or your +1 or your +2 or whatever. So a half day would kind of not be worth it. But if you ever do have a full day, I would say, please do, please do. They did have that screening at Chicago, yeah. Well, did it feel like almost there were the whole V'ger bowl, the V'ger temple at the end, is like I've never seen before. I saw the screening here a year ago, the first debut of the 4K on a big screen. I felt like I'd never seen that scene before. I dare anyone's criticisms over the year, make them watch the new 4K edition, especially on a big screen, and I dare you to come up with whatever. And be able to make that same criticism again. It is amazing. It is amazing. Does the 4K, Duralta, does the 4K change the story? Is it just better looking effects? I know everybody got used to seeing the next generation's enhanced versions. A lot of things like color and audio and sharpness and you know, the redone octograms as well as the big showy visual effects. A lot of that went, so, okay, so fine. Technology is evolving. We expect that. I'm telling you, it's revolutionary because the motion, it wasn't just that it's better now than 1979's motion picture wasn't the best 1979 movie quality. It was crap. They rushed it so much. It affected everything from the slowness was because they were slinging visual effects shots into it without being edited. There was no editing for pace or timing. They had 4 days to get the picture on the color grading at the lab. They had 4 days to just do kind of an average. They couldn't go each scene by scene, frame by frame, and color time it and color grade it. The ambient sound that we had on the original series, you know, all the background chatter and just the noises of bleeps, there was so little of that, and the stupid projectors on the bridge were so noisy, they had to use it. It sounds hollow and tinny and dead, and you don't understand how much you think, oh yeah, sound. That plays with your mind. There's an old joke, Dove Siemens used to do this weekend boot camp for movies that Quentin Tarantino, among others, went to. Did it for 30 years. One of the 2 or 3 things I remember from his 2-day boot camp weekend was people don't get how much sound affects their understanding of. They're watching a visual. He used to kid. He's like, if you go cheap on ADR, if you don't do dialogue replacement and do all your sound effects and your footsteps, stuff like that, he would say this is the reason American movies are a higher quality than the rest of the world. The rest of the world doesn't do that. You watch a movie without all of that you're used to on higher quality titles. The joke was you watch someone's like that, or you see it's like, wow, this needs better lighting. It's like your senses. So it has nothing to do with the lighting. It's that you miss all that. And that's what the motion, it was so rushed. It wasn't edited. It wasn't colored. The ambient, they found the automatic dialogue. Well, this is a future Trek Files. Some of the stuff I heard just the other night was amazing. So yes, if you really wipe everything away that you know the motion picture is, and there's added scenes, and but the added scenes were put back in. Some of them were put back in 20 years ago. It's just, especially watching on a big screen, you don't. Can I be so bold to say you don't get bored in the third act? You don't fall asleep. The endless oogling of V'ger is defined. Okay, enough of that. You don't feel like it's slow because the editing has been tightened up, and it moves along. It zooms along. It's kind of incredible. Okay, did I answer your question? Let's see. Well, the good thing about it, Mona, is very few people could sit and watch all day yesterday, even though it was a Sunday. So it is all there. And it's good to see. Now, right now, my hour isn't on their page. And if people came in producing their own hour, it might not be connected. I need to get with Ryan and see about making sure we can do that. Okay, and yay, the Starbase Indie stuff. Yes, that deal. Here you go, Dave. The complete schedule with here and the fan wall to Avery Brooks. Okay. Hey, Di, good to see you. And Troy, do I think SAG will strike? Well, the thing is, Troy, everybody is waiting to see what happens with the writers. Again, they're the canary in the coal mine. And that's part of the reason why the contracts got stacked, because the writers have typically gone first. And then it's like that's the temperature of the water. What's happening now, what's complicating all of this, it's not just that, I mean, there's a paradigm shift in the way things are made and distributed, right? But also the players. Who are the big players now? Who's making so much content that's affecting so many writers and actors and directors and crew? It's the, you say the streaming revolution. Well, who spearheaded that? It was Netflix. And Netflix is headed by people who came over from tech, not from entertainment. It's, you know, it's the old stereotype of it's Silicon Valley, not Hollywood. And you have that also, as much as I love my Apple devices, but that's Apple Plus too. And to a lesser extent, Hulu and Prime and all of that. But any of the digitals and then the corporate end of it. So now you've got, when you've got the Warners and the Universal Plus, and you've got all the reality shows in the pool that they're going to lean into now during the strike. And the fact that the network impact, you know, you watch the Emmys and ordinary people go, what are all these shows? It was like Abbott Elementary got nominated. It's on network. How did that happen? We've come so far since The Sopranos was on HBO, and that was headlines. Oh my God, an HBO original show is winning Emmys. And we was like, well, we'll see your premium channels and we'll raise you these upstart streamers who used to mail you DVDs in the mail. That was their original business model. Yeah, how many people go back with Netflix that far? We do. So yes, everyone is watching what happens to the writers. What may happen, unless something crazy happens, what everyone is expecting right now, what people were saying the other day, is they expect this to be long because they think all these new players, these multi-million-dollar moguls that came into this from Wall Street and from tech and not from in the entertainment world, and get the way the system supports itself and perpetuates itself and has made entertainment that is the quality and envy of the world for the most part. And when it's starting to evolve in other places, they're looking at the Hollywood model in a lot of ways. Of course, many countries don't have to worry about the health fund like we do, but that's part of the picture. They're thinking this is going to take a long time because they've got to run these new guys and gals through the grinder to let them, they have no idea what they're dealing with, what they thought. They're looking at the entertainment community the same way. You know, there's a lot of people saying they're trying to break the unions, that the system that has yielded such a, since the 40s and the 50s and the 60s, the last 50, 60 years, the system that has led to so much great content for audiences and also for the world and been a model for the world, that now that's in this, you know, they want to hack that up like any other industry has been, which shouldn't have been also. That it's all about gain year to year in profit, not so much about making good stuff and making sure you're making money. It's like, you know, bleed more and more and more, find a way to bleed more and more and more out. And if that's led by just numbers, you know, Netflix got big because it was a new technology. Well, now that's cooling. So now how do you keep up those impressive gains year to year? Oh, well, now we're going to squeeze everybody. We're going to gig everybody. We're going to have everybody be one-off, siloed, individual workers where there's no, right. Well, the writers and all the unionizing going on in the 20s and the 30s and later, you know, got us past all that. And it's another part of how so much of a faction, whatever the motivation is, there is this big faction wanting to, you know, take us backwards. I don't understand why anybody could be against progressive, because the opposite of progressive is regressive. So how far back do we go? Do we go to the Middle Ages? Do we go to caves? How far back do we go? How far back do we go? So to answer your question, it depends. If the writers drag out, there's no, the bulk of shows aren't shooting. So if the writers are still on strike because they're not negotiating, because they're trying to tough it out, the producers are trying to, starve them out, then yeah, the actors will be on strike. And that will be another, so many working actors, just, they're not glamour stars with mansions. Same thing with the writers. Even, the working actors trying to just get their checks in and get their pension and their health care done. Thank you, Christoph, for letting me know. A couple of breaks, but no biggies. Okay. Thank you for that note. No, that's pretty much the lost scenes bit has been pretty much done and found. What's amazing was they found, I don't want to steal a future story, but they found the ADR, almost those projectors were so loud on the bridge, and the bridge scenes were such a big chunk of the movie, that Robert Wise came in and had all the cast redub all their lines, right? Watching the film and redub all their lines. But they didn't have time to do that. So you're watching all those bridge scenes with that hollowy sound behind everything, which in a way was cool, but it wasn't great on having it feel immediate, having a professionally polished movie, the way you expect in other movies to be. So they found, then they were lost. In 2002 for the redo, nobody at Paramount could find those. They thought they were lost. In the years since, they found all of the audio dialogue replacement, all the actors coming in and looping their lines fresh on a mic, with Robert Wise directing them. It's like the complete session. You don't just have the pristine line that goes in the movie. You've got Robert Wise talking to them. So there are plans afoot to do something with that. And it's just audio. It's not a film, right? They didn't need film. They didn't live in the media age, social media with phone cams in 1978 and 79. Okay. No, it's just, I'm just down the street from a fire station and a senior citizens center across the street. Mm-hmm. I am so glad to be able to help you out, Di. Yeesh. Are you in Phoenix or are you in OKC? That's the thing. Because I could see it being either one. Just humidity in Oklahoma. Right. I know what you're talking about, the pack lead. Right. Yeah, what did people say? One of the last great things it was okay to make fun of. Yeah, you know what? I didn't even realize. And I should have had him turn his camera. That threw me too. He wound up being so small. I didn't see his dog. But Dennis has the danger dogs. He's always, they may have cut down now, but over the years, in fact, there's a T-shirt that he did up for the crew that I have two of, where it's Dennis and Linda. They're both stunt people, and the danger dogs, because that's his nickname. Dennis, it's Danger Madelone. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm back in here. I'll let you guys sort out the German convention picture. Oh. Yeah, well, Cairo, it'll be here. It's all good. You do need to see the photo album from Strike Day, though. Yes. Mm-hmm. The R word. Very good. Well, we'll look for it. We will look for it. I love that your company is called Trade Post 47, Cairo. I feel like I've had some influence on that, maybe. Mm-mm-mm. Okay, okay, okay. I'm glad we're getting the German fandom situation settled out. Hey, Glenn. I'm sorry you didn't get to notice, but here we are. Yay. Um, okay. Hey, Susan. Something not in Germany. Okay. You were at Stargate this last weekend in the UK, and a couple of the actors in the meet and greet said that they would be going to support the writers after they come back from the FedCon this weekend in Bonn. So, solidarity from other franchises. Yeah. Well, some of the other fandoms, I think a Star Trek fan, I just was looking her up and now somebody will know it in the chat. Her last name's Cavill. And anyway, started a support just for the Trek writer, not to exclude everybody, but it's like, here's your fandom supporting you. And now a lot of other fandoms are supporting, like Waters and snacks and ice cream bars and sunscreen and having local people around LA or New York to be able to be the feet, to be the wheels to get it done. But people anywhere in the world can send in their 5, 10, 20 bucks, and then they show, here we are delivering Waters to here we are at Disney, here we're at Universal. And it was a big thing at Paramount. And I wish I'd gotten a shot. Why did I not do this? They had 2 or 3 ice cream refrigerator carts, one with ice, one with ice cream, going back and forth. And you'll see some photos, like Ira's walking around with one for a while in some of the shots. They had ice cream bars and ice bars and things, flavored ice. And that was all from the Star Trek Writer Fan Fund. So there's a link in the text that's with the video. If you're watching my video, our Trekland special for the Strike Day, in the text box, there's a link for this community support fund to get money to, say, the assistants and the office staffs that are not working, that don't have a union to support them. And then also that get the Star Trek support. But you can look at the other fandoms and see there are people stepping up to support their writers. Again, not to leave people out, but just to say, oh, that's that. So there you go. Okay. Yes, Star Trek Resurgent is a new game that they're advertising, putting a lot of promo and marketing into. And, Leonard's family, the Foundation and Trust, they still control the rights to that. And I don't know if they're doing individual deals. Now, that's the thing, doing an individual deal as a project comes up. But being in control of your image and your voice is something, not just giving a blanket sign off to a show that's going to represent all kinds of spin-off, whether it's a movie or it's games and home fun things to do. Yeah, that's Resurgence. Yeah. Alex has been out several times. If you're watching watch it now. There weren't a lot of Picard people there, but I saw today for yesterday, Terry and Jerry and some of them, but a ton of the Picard writers. Again, a lot of them I haven't had a chance to meet and know their faces, but I want to get the photo ID down, and a funny sign they put up, the Picard. Anyway, I should have grabbed it. Restream is really bad about doing things on the fly. When we're doing Zoom in Portal with roundtables and things, it's easy to grab things on the side and pop it in there right there. Yes. Okay. Did you? Are you talking about the mad search for Noga? Anyway. Oh, no problem. You know what? We all go along in life with our blinders on. And that's why this whole reaction to being, I still say the word woke. To me, it's like your eyes are open, but how open are they? None of us know exactly what's going on around us. We all have blinders on to a degree. And if you disagree with that, just look back at the decades. If you want to go live in a well, you will probably be covered over and buried and forgotten about if you want to go live in if you want to, the old ostrich with your head in the ground kind of thing. And I don't mean anything against ostriches. It's one thing between the prairie dog that goes underground for protection and then peeks up to see if it's safe. I can kind of understand that some days, but the old ostrich with your head in the ground bit, willfully ignoring what's going, the la 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 thing. Okay, fine. The world will go on and you'll just be left standing back there. I don't understand the need. Well, I mean, I do. Some people, that's how the only way they think they can survive. It's too much. And sometimes the pace of change and social change and cultural and intellectual change and scientific change can get too much. And sometimes the whole culture goes there. We go through culture shock. We did it with the A-bomb. We're doing it with social media. We're finally 10, 15 years later seeing the effects that we had no idea about. Just the same way of atomic power and the A-bomb. So you're good. Don't worry about it. You're all good, Analysis. You're just fine. You're fine. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're bringing up these points. You go right on quoting regulations, Lieutenant. Okay. No worries, okay? Why, thank you. Yeah, we got kind of crazy busy this week. I say we. Scott and Kyle were really, between the 6th anniversary show and then the live from the and then the live stream that I did on YouTube and that wonderful video that they edited and sliced up and put together. Yes, absolutely. The stories are true. Because it was a day earlier, the premiere in Washington, D.C. at the National Air and Space Museum, which was only 3 years old. It was the day before. They were even shipping them wet to get to theaters the next day. It dried from the projector heat at the movie. Right. Yes, Foley artist. Thank you. That's the Hollywood term. Name for the guy Foley, or maybe the woman Foley, back in the 30s when sound was a new thing, right? That's why it got its own name. Exactly. I just told that story. It wasn't they found bits. They found the entire cache of them. Yeah. Okay. You're in Oklahoma, so you got the humidity on top of the heat. Roger that. The humidity here got up into the 60s and 70s a few days ago. Not my plan. Not my Los Angeles I agreed to. Hey, Chuck. TNG Fanatic, good to see you. Is this your first time in with us? Maybe not. I'm not. Okay. I think we're at the end of the chat, gang. Woof. All righty then. Well, again, I want to thank you guys for being with us today. Thanks to thanks to everybody who's been there. Again, if you got in with us later, this is going to be a little tricky, but here we go. If did I guess I did. Oh, nope, I don't want that. That's funny. There's my email. That can go away. Yes, I'll just say, if you did not catch my hour with Walter, it was wonderful. We talked about, Nichelle was the focus. We would get off on Walter tangents at times, but we kept it on Nichelle and some stories Walter had with Nichelle, and just remembering when he heard that she was recruiting for NASA and knowing about the foundation she co-founded. That Woman in Motion title, her documentary, comes from this foundation she co-founded for women in business, especially minority women of color, called Women in Motion. But anyway, just a wonderful talk and chat with him. And, we got to congratulate him for having his son be the president of the Federation. That was fun. They came to his house to record, which was great, and be directed. But anyway, yes, go and find that on the Nichelle Nichols Foundation YouTube page. Again, my part of the Cisco Day from yesterday is on YouTube right now, my YouTube channel, where you are right now. Make sure you subscribe, set that bell. You never know when something's going to come up. My YouTube channel is going to be more and more and more coming up with events and special pieces. So you want to make sure you're on there. The entirety of the day for Cisco Day you can find at the Seventh Rules YouTube. And I think we've got the link here in the chat too. Also the Cisco, just go see the Cisco Day and see the whole schedule. Some awesome stuff. There's some things I desperately want to go back and watch Tani and Celia's Hour, as well as some of the other bits too. Thanks so much for being around. Think of us if you're coming to LA and you want that special day. That will be awesome to do your Trekland Trek, treklandtrek.com. Just go check it out. You'll see. There's nearly 50, well, probably 50 or more now with Picard sites in and around LA within an hour or two. I'm even including, it's 2 hours, 15 minutes up the road, but even the Sunstone Winery, which was Villa Picard for the new Picard season. And again, thanks for all these folks, all of you all, for what you're doing, helping us out. I keep it humble, but every little bit helps. So thank you. If you want to jump into my Patreon, it's patreon.com/TreklandLive. You can read about it there. Thanks so much for that. Again, the Trek Files is up. David C. Fine. We got off talking about motion picture again. You guys, if you don't have the opportunity to see it at a screening in a big theater, get the biggest home screen you can find. That's all I'm saying. It's amazing. Just so you can see that it's not a big blue-gray blob. There are reds and pinks in this movie now. I know, right? Sometimes it's pretty elemental there. No, I really would. I've got some news coming about some new away days around San Diego Comic-Con days when you're in SoCal. If you're coming that way, we'll have that for anybody that wants it. So overall, check me out on Twitter, Larry Nemechek, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, Larry's Trekland, and Portal47.net. Just jump in with us. Just jump in with Portales. There are a lot of them here. So glad you all could be with us. That's going to do it for me. Looking forward to a slightly less insane week coming up, but then we're diving into a lot of things. I'm going to get caught up here. I guess, you know what? The new copy of Star Trek Explorer is out. And yes, my column is in its whatever, insanely here, 23rd year now, whatever. But there is so much, there's original fiction that's now being reprinted elsewhere. But yeah, Fistful of Data is in here again, as in a lot of great articles. It's the reboot from Titan in the UK. It's the official magazine. A lot of stuff to hold on to while you read. I don't give them enough of a shout out, but I should. All right, guys, gals, that's going to do it for us. Please, we will see you next Tuesday, hopefully somewhere along the way. Am I leaving something out coming up the next few days? I don't know. This last week was a killer diller, but in the best way. Check it all out now on all the recordings we've got. That's the beauty of these days. Hey, everybody, stay healthy, do all the things. Stay woke, check the sources, and trek well, everybody.